Good afternoon. Hope everybody can hear us okay. We're going to go ahead and get started. And thanks for joining us today for the launch of the portal, which is a partnership between Nanolumens and Noro. Go ahead and introduce ourselves. My name is Kurt DeYoung. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Nanolumens, and I'll let my colleague Tone introduce himself as well.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tone Hilter, and I am in charge of client relations at Noro.
Fabulous.
So I'll start by telling you a little bit about the origins of Noro. The company was founded with a very strong mission and belief that technology should be used to connect people, and we've done so by creating technology that is almost invisible. So we try to remove the evidence of the technology in the room in order to enhance the sense of presence and authentic connection. This resulted in an award at ISE earlier this year. And we're very happy to partner with Kurt and Nanolumens, who bring exceptional clarity and fantastic engineering and design to the experience.
Fabulous. And just a quick mention around Nanolumens. Nanolumens is a U.S.-based design and manufacturing firm that's been focused on the direct view LED market for the last 15 years. We create world-class experiences and really try to bring wonder to physical spaces in all types of markets, corporate enterprise, transportation, themed entertainment, casinos, etc. And really focus on crafting bold, immersive, long-lasting display products that are enterprise grade. And we're very excited about the partnership with Noro. We believe that this is a real game changer in the enterprise collaboration industry, and being around the collaboration industry for a long time, this is really an exceptional solution that really kind of is quite impressive. So we're very excited to share the partnership and the solution with you today of the collaborative work that we've done together. So we prepped a light agenda for everybody just so that we can kind of share with you kind of what our goals and objectives are. We'll spend a little bit of time on the need and how Noro came to be. We'll talk a little bit about the portal itself and the solution itself and the partnership between the two companies. We're also going to go into a little bit of a live, taped demo experience to allow you all to see what the portal looks like in real life, as close as we possibly can. We'll talk about some considerations with respect to the design and implementation, et cetera, depending on who's here today, whether you're an end user, an audiovisual integrator, or consultant. Obviously, there'll be some key considerations that you'll all need to kind of take into account. And we'll go through a couple of success stories of early systems that have been implemented with some enterprise customers and share some insights from them on how they're using it today. And then we'll pause at the end for some question and answer from the group. So if you do have some questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll try to get those we'll try to get to those towards the end of today's session. But from here, I'm going to turn it over to Tone a little bit and talk about exploring the need and the portal experience.
Thanks, Kurt. So since the pandemic, we've all become very quickly very used to Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, etc., which has served a great purpose. But Zoom fatigue is real. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We were joined on our advisory board by several professors who studied the causes of Zoom fatigue and the effects. So at the same time, we believe that it's important for people to meet, right? Teams need to meet in person, and that costs money, it costs time. So we're not here to replace either of those two systems or experiences, but we very strongly believe in a third way that is that covers a large area in between. You know, the disengagement as a result of using platforms like these, like Zoom and Teams, etc., has been well documented. It's very easy, as we all know, to multitask while you're on a Zoom call, or to write, you know, to not be as present as you would be if you were in a room with someone. This is causing disengagement in companies, a sense of less of a sense of belonging, and poor collaboration. Let's go to the human connection element. Yeah. So the you know, there's extensive research on how Zoom fatigue operates and how it affects us, and also you know, what the benefits are and the difficult to measure but very powerful effects of being in person with someone. One of the most important points that we're solving for in this system is eye contact. Making eye contact enhances trust, it enhances accountability, and it also makes you much less tired after spending time with somebody. Because as we all have experienced on longer Zoom calls, your brain starts to get tired from constantly trying to gauge reactions and looking at the screen and the camera, and it's an unnatural way for your brain to operate, because we're always looking for prompts and for signs of how somebody is receiving what you're saying. The other one is free movement, which is very important. It boosts an enormous amount of creativity to not have to keep yourself still between this box, but be able to move around freely, use your hands, and use it to your full expression. And that's similar to, you know, all of that is kind of combined in body language, right? We know that in a Teams or Zoom call, we only convey about 40 to 50% of our non-verbal communication cues. So a lot of that gets lost, and our system is designed to make up for that and to actually broadcast and receive the full spectrum of non-verbal communication.
And I have to say, with the first time that Tone and I met with some of his other colleagues I was here in Atlanta and speaking with them in San Francisco, and we had a portal system on either side of the conversation. And when we finally met in person, it was not the first time that we had met in person, even though, like in most situations when you go through these Teams conversations, it is very, you know, it is somewhat impersonal. But you know, when we sat together, you know, in New York a few weeks later, it was like we had already been in the room together, and because it was the portal experience that I think everyone will appreciate today. But I can speak from experience. These things happened. Our ability to communicate openly and understand kind of, had we gone too far on a particular point, or did something make someone uncomfortable, and as part of that conversational element that we were discussing, you could really sense those things, and the portal was you know, a great aid in our level of communication during those first sessions. And then when we got together in person, it was like we had been in the room together, you know, many times as a result of collaborating through the portal system. It was amazing. Now, if we get to Teams and cost, Tone, how does portal save on those items?
Yeah, so you know, Teams do need to meet, and we're not here to suggest that portals would remove the need to meet altogether. Based on our research, there are sort of three segments of meeting. So one is a Zoom call for half an hour, very transactional, catching up, a huddle, works great. The other side of the spectrum is getting on a plane and meeting somebody in person, which we see is mostly worth it when you can see multiple people. You can perhaps have dinner together that night or have lunch and socialize. But the meetings in the middle, the sort of up to 1 to 2 day trips, essentially are, we find to be very expensive in not just cost, but also productivity. You can see an example here of flying from New York to Dallas for a meeting, which if you include traveling to the airport, going through security, waiting to board, flying, getting in a car on the other end, etc., etc., you're easily spending 14 hours in transit, not really productive, and an average of $2,500 per traveler for just 4 to 5 hours of FaceTime. That's where the portal is a game changer, because we strongly believe that you can achieve that same amount of FaceTime in a portal without the 14 hours of travel and the $2,500 spent per traveler. These are, of course, averages, but you get the gist. So a portal, therefore, aside from the benefits of creating a better sense of engagement and culture among distributed teams, it very quickly pays for itself, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yep, agreed. Now, what is the portal, right? So the portal is a direct view LED screen and an intelligent spatial camera system, right? And so these are sized, and they're sized to an appropriate size, aspect ratio, resolution, and it's really been optimized through a lot of the research that Noro has done too. So tell us a little bit about the presence and the movement and all of those things, like some of the, how did you get to this size? How did you get to this configuration with the camera tech as well?
Yeah, sure. We actually originally started with a shipping container, so a sort of 7 by 7 foot screen internally, a square size, using wall-mounted front screen projectors, which feels very rudimentary now compared to looking at a Nanolumens screen. But it enabled us to do a lot of testing and research in positioning of the camera in such a way that you create this sense of eye contact, the distance, the ideal distance from the camera for people to sit or stand at for the interaction to feel natural. And by that I mean for the people on screen to look life size. We don't want them to look bigger than life size. We want them to look just the same size as they would as if they were standing in front of you. In our transition to LED, we determined, based on standard size meeting rooms, ceiling heights, and typical layouts for rooms in most offices, that the current display size, which is around 3 meters by 2 meters, is the optimal size and configuration in order to get the optimal potential number of participants on each side within a space that can accommodate the portal.
Yeah. So really, this is an integrated technology solution from Noro and Nanolumens, and really combines an advanced direct view LED system with an embedded camera solution. It includes the back end device that allows you to manage your camera arrays and really kind of enhances that remote collaboration system. And there's also a screen off to the right that we'll see in the demo that I don't think that we kind of included here that you can use for content sharing and collaboration as well, right, Tone?
Yeah, the system comes prepared for a companion screen, and all of our collaboration tools, such as whiteboarding, screen sharing, and mobile casting, which we'll show you in a minute, are designed to be used on that companion screen.
Yeah, it's fabulous, fabulous. And it is compatible with Zoom, Google Meet, Zoom, or Teams, WebEx for easy integration. So it is a proprietary system, but you've already done the programming to allow you to bring other meeting platforms into the portal, correct?
Correct. So we have a proprietary software platform for Noro, which can be used on its own, but you could also go through Teams, for example. So we've done an integration with Teams, and interestingly, the way that we've engineered our system with Teams is so that you're actually getting a higher resolution through the portal on Teams than you would normally get on your laptop or otherwise. So it's actually a very good experience through Teams. Zoom we're also integrated with, and Google Meet and WebEx, I know where our product team is in the process of creating those integrations.
Yeah, that's great. So the frictionless kind of integration with existing enterprise standards really makes this an ideal solution. If it was kind of a standalone, different system that would have to go through IT vetting and or try to get someone to use a different type of solution or a different type of collaboration solution that they're not accustomed to, it might have a little bit more friction in the enterprise markets, but the work that they've already done is it really kind of smooths that out. Now, when we look at the screen itself, the spatial resolution of the screen is 2400 by 1620. The standard is a 1.2 millimeter pixel pitch. This is kind of a cabinet layout and sizing. So we're just short of 10 feet wide and about 7 feet tall, roughly. And then it comes in a frame assembly that allows for very easy integration and floor mounting, right? So very easy to kind of go into a room, light on the infrastructure, where we can kind of set this up as a freestanding system, and we're not getting into heavy construction, which makes it a little bit easier for people to, fund, but also kind of find a space for it, and allows us really to kind of, make this an easy installation. And we'll get into that a little bit later in the presentation as well. So we're very excited about the partnership with Noro, and we feel like their spatial camera intelligence system that they've developed is a perfect match for this type of solution. And together, we're really closing the gap between this physical and virtual presence that we're experiencing today. But when we get into, when you're going into meetings, that personal connection is so important that this system is a great alternative, a great potential alternative in enterprise types of environments, training environments where you really need a different level of interaction to make that interaction more meaningful.
Absolutely.
So we talked a little bit about the freestanding engineering. So it's we feel like it's going to take about 2 days to put this into a facility. Technicians from Nanolumens and Noro would be present to assist the audiovisual integrator to conduct the installation. We're both U.S. businesses that are working on design, assembly, support here in the U.S. So we're a perfect match for the client base here in the States, and we are going to market collectively through a broad group of audiovisual partners to implement solutions, provide technical expertise around audio in specific spaces, because if there's one thing that does require some customization and thought, it is the audio layout in the room, and understanding, how do we optimize the communication, that audio side of the communication piece, and really allows us to customize some of the capabilities, but the screen and the camera tech and the back end software is kind of like the main part of the fixed solution. So with that, Tim, why don't we get into a little bit of your demo, if you don't mind taking over the screen share and take
Sure.
us through the session that you conducted yesterday.
Sure thing. So this is what it would look like if you were invited to a portal meeting. You would get a link in your email. You click on this link, and this is the screen you would get to. So you would just enter your name, turn on your camera, and away you go. And this is what the interface would look like. So this is our portal in Brooklyn, as you can see at the top, in our R&D space, and below is our portal in San Francisco. I joined this particular connection remotely, so you would see yourself in the window, the top right, and any other participants that are joining remotely would be shown in that column on the right. As you can see, you have some controls there, your camera, your microphone, and some screen sharing options, which I will get into in a minute. So in this case, I asked my colleagues in New York to show us some of these features of collaboration. By the way, if I wasn't joining remotely, then you would actually you would just see each other full screen on each portal screen, right? So the respective portals, as you can see, would just see each other, and you'll see briefly in a minute what I would look like on a portal screen when I'm joining remotely. This is a brief presentation. So my colleague here is screen sharing from his laptop. So as a remote participant, you would see it like this, and my colleagues in the portal rooms see it on their companion screens that you can see in those frames at the top there. Just to show you what the interface looks like here. So if I click on the collaboration tools, I have the options to whiteboard and to share my screen. We're moving into whiteboarding next. So you see these companion screens just switch to the whiteboarding screen on both sides in San Francisco and New York. And what's great about this is there is no delay at all, because the computing is being done locally in each portal system. We have a very powerful computer built into the frame. So there's no lag at all. You can literally be writing and completing each other's sentences, dotting the I's and crossing the T's in real time. There's no noticeable lag, and there's of course the usual tools like post-its and whatnot. So this is a very powerful whiteboarding tool that comes as standard with the system. And then one that I'm really excited about is mobile casting. So you have the ability to cast from your mobile to the companion screen. So my colleague here is showing what the portal screen looks like. That's me at the top there. And this is particularly interesting for a wide range of applications, which we'll talk about shortly. But as you can see, it allows you to walk around the room, to make close-ups, show objects in close-up, pointed at the surroundings, what have you. And again, this is there's no noticeable lag in what you're seeing, what you're recording on your mobile, and what the participants are seeing on their screens. So that's really, in a nutshell, the collaboration tools. the suite, as you can see here on the right, the interface, and what it looks like as a remote participant. If I was to turn my camera off, I would just be visible as a with my initials at the top as a small avatar. So I'll leave it there, and we'll go back to the presentation. So this is me leaving the portal meeting, and there we go. You're on mute, Kurt.
All right, thank you. Can't get by the mute button, but some things to think about around the deployment model installation is really the footprint, like selecting the right space. I mean, we'll need the appropriate kind of distance from the screen to make the vision or the image capture, optimal in those particular situations. We mentioned that the frame that you'll see that surrounds the screen here, this silver one, this is a prototype. We're going through some different iterations that accommodate integrating sound, speakers, systems, things along those lines, and trying to make it a little bit more polished finish. But this is one of the early prototypes. Space and flexibility. So, like in an ideal situation, Tone, what would you say like the ideal space requirements are for a portal itself?
Yeah, the ideal sort of the minimum space requirements we ask for is a depth of 18 feet from the portal, and a minimum width of 14 feet to make it serviceable, because there's a tray on the side that slides out and allows us to service the hardware internally. So that's the minimum footprint of a room that we would recommend. Obviously, anything bigger than that is totally fine.
Yep.
And to your point earlier, Kurt, we very specifically designed the frame to be floor standing and to support the weight of the system, which is around roughly, give or take, 500 pounds. And it's just attached, anchored to the wall with 6 screws for safety and code. But the frame itself is self-supporting, and therefore doesn't require any preparation of walls or structural engineering whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's a big advantage in my opinion. I mean, when we're putting up video wall arrays, there is construction. There's quite a bit of planning, and this can be put in as a freestanding unit, which makes it very flexible, but also kind of semi-permanent. Like you can move it around and put it into an optimal space. You can try a couple of spaces out, see what best fits, or if you're moving, a client is moving, they can certainly take it with them with limited help, which is great. What about the network requirements to make the performance optimal? Because I know that's one of the big things that you guys have worked on quite a bit is kind of the network performance and the video performance up and down through your software.
Yeah, so the remote monitoring is done through the software. We have an administration tool, a dashboard that provides access to the portal network within each company, and also gives you analytics on usage data, etc.
Okay, all right. And then I think the typical timeline for order placement to delivery is about 90 days for both organizations, and that gives us the appropriate amount of time to prepare the technology, get it to site, arrange staffing, and allow us to complete the installation and training and commissioning process for that client. So that's kind of the other thought process here. Now let's talk about a couple of the use cases or customer cases that are pictured here. So these are two enterprise clients that were early adopters of the portal, Tom.
Correct. Yeah, we're working with Koch Industries as one of them, where we connected a number of their sites between Atlanta, Wichita, and Rochester Hills. They're also now asking us to install a portal in Wisconsin, particularly with a view to the mobile casting functionality, which I mentioned earlier, because they have an interesting use case where they have an R&D site in Wisconsin where people are working on prototypes of products, product development, etc., and they literally get on a plane weekly with small pieces of products to get in a room with somebody in Atlanta and pour over them, and then go back with the feedback and come back a week later with another 3D printed version of it. So they're very excited to use this mobile casting feature to be able to do that kind of work through portals, and reduce the time spent traveling and the back and forth. There's another team within Koch Industries, the legal team, that are using the portal on a regular basis for standing team meetings. Yeah, we're also very happy with our partnership with JLL, who are a very early adopter and also an investor in Noro. And we have a number of portals set up within the JLL global footprint. And what's interesting with them is that we worked closely with their HR department and their travel budgeting division, and we found that, looking at the travel data, that there were 3 hubs in within the US that accounted for about 10% of all of the travel. So they are looking very closely at those hubs to put portals into those places now, in order to optimize for that travel element that we talked about earlier, and to reduce the need to travel between those busy hubs.
Yep, that makes total sense. And I know in San Francisco, Atlanta, and London, correct? Those are the main JLL hubs currently.
Actually, JLL is London, Chicago, and Atlanta. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. So some great case studies and some real life usage where people are looking at their experiences up to this point and looking to implement some additional systems as a way to save on that corporate travel budgets. I know, as a frequent business traveler, I would prefer not to get on a plane every week, but that's not always possible. But with a portal, it would be a little bit easier. As we mentioned, we are selling these through approved, authorized integration partners here in the U.S. and international markets. You're more than welcome to hit us up on email or on our website for more information. Before we wrap up today, Tim, I know we've seen a couple of questions come in. This one is I'll shout this one out to you. Is it a true certification or just integration with Teams, Zoom, etc.? Has it been certified, or has it just been proven to work? I guess that's the kind of the root of the call or the question.
Yeah, thanks, Corey. Very good question. We are in. They're proven to work and integrated. That goes without saying. But we are working with both Microsoft and Zoom on a certification. We're in touch with their development teams, and they're actively supporting our integration. So the certification is something that we're certainly keen on and working with them to achieve. And they've been supporting us fully through these this period of integration. By the way, and before we go on to the next question, I'm glad I was able to show you today the interface of what it looks like to join a portal connection remotely, but I do have to stress that it needs to be experienced in person. So if you get a chance to visit us in San Francisco, Atlanta, New York, Chicago, please do so. Please reach out and come and experience it for yourself, because there isn't really anything quite like just being in the room and connecting through it, as Kurt was able to attest to earlier.
Yeah, it's amazing. The next one is, are other sizes available? I think we've worked with Noro. Noro's done a lot of trial and error testing in the pilot phases and prototyping, and this is kind of the current size. This is our reference design collectively. So at this point, that is kind of the size of the system itself. We have another question here from Corey. When we talked about the display, what are the other components? Cameras, mics, speakers, as an example, or is this just a turnkey kit? So the cameras, the PC, and the screen are kind of part of the system, but the audio is really open for the audiovisual partner to really specify it, and through consulting with their client. Correct, Tom?
Yeah, correct. And so all the components, as Kurt mentioned, are part of the kit and are turnkey. But we work with the AV integrators to spec microphones and speakers, and in some cases we've even used existing mics and speakers, like we did with Koch Industries, for example, in their Atlanta installation. We found that actually what they had in that room was perfectly designed already for that room, so we just plugged it into our system, and they were good to go. In other cases, we have a standard spec that we could recommend, but that is very basic and very standard, and we absolutely recommend working with an AV integrator to optimize for each individual room, based on size, acoustic treatment, etc.
Yeah, and also, like, a lot of companies have very specific audio standards, and are really kind of wedded to those existing standards that they have in their spaces today. John is asking about an MSRP. We will be sharing some MSRP numbers with the attendees and all of the registrants and some post event communications. So we'll be sharing those with you after the webinar itself. This is a PC based system. Is there a Mac alternative as well, Tone, or is it only PC today?
No, it's a PC based system. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, fabulous.
No Mac available. Also, I saw a question from Kyle about where the camera is. It's our favorite question to ask people when they come in and see the portal for the first time. Yeah. It's actually embedded in the screen at eye level. There is actually 3 cameras for spatial and image processing, but they are embedded in the screen at eye level.
Yeah, that's fabulous. I missed that question. HVAC requirements, a question from John. We've really, at Nano, we really pay a lot of attention to the efficiency of the product to make sure that the facility impact is as minimal as possible. So I don't think that you're going to see massive heat coming off of these systems from the screen perspective, and the obviously the PC system and all of those are going to add to the overall impact of the solution. But we've been in these spaces for a while. We don't see a lot of facility impact that you would see. Corey is here, on display at ISC and Infocom. I think we'll have some presence collectively at ISC, and I think we're also looking at integrating a portal into our booth at Infocom. So stay tuned for more information about that. When we get a little bit closer to the events. What is the amount of bandwidth required? That's a good question for the portal to operate.
We typically ask for 30 megabytes per second up and down. The portal itself, when in connection, uses much less than that. It's mostly about stability and making sure that there's no big drops in bandwidth at any given time. We can share those specs as well. but it's typically, it's not a massive data connection.
Okay.
There's a good question from John there as well about sharing content to the LED wall. It's something that we played with and we internally debated over quite a lot. The short answer is no. Actually, it's yes and no. The wall can be used as a video wall too. So we're very much conscious of the fact that it takes up, even though it doesn't take up much floor space, it takes up some real estate. So we encourage people to use it to watch a sports game or a movie, or use it for digital signage or a presentation or what have you. However, when using it as a portal, we very consciously and deliberately decided to share content through the companion screen, so as not to break that illusion of presence. That's always been very important to us, and I believe that was the right decision. Whenever I'm in a portal, I think the companion screen works excellently for sharing content and collaborating. And it's up to the client ultimately how big they want that companion screen to be, but they can make that as big as or as small as they would like. So we feel very strongly that it's important to maintain that connection through the portal screen.
Okay. We've got another call or another question here. Do you invite the system to a Teams meeting, or do you need to join with the meeting, the embedded kind of Noro meeting interface?
No, well, it depends if the client will give us access to their calendar planning system, then yes, you could just join it through a Teams link. Without that, it requires a little bit of integration, which is it's not rocket science, but it just requires us to have access to the right people in the client side. Otherwise, you would start it on the Noro platform and then enter a Teams meeting through that.
Okay, so it's kind of like a meeting network asset that you would have available to utilize the portal as the meeting output. Yeah. Okay, got it. I know John asked a couple of questions about diagrams and marketing information. Those items will be coming to you post webinar as well. So we'll be sharing that with all the attendees today. A couple of system diagrams, some layouts of the video wall itself, and some additional marketing material that quite frankly we're working on, obviously, as our first kind of intro presentation to the industry. So we'll be sharing that with you as well. Can we use this one? Can this be used in multi-window formats with various layouts? If on a standard Teams call you can view the standard Teams interface, what happens if you had two remote rooms that you wanted to connect? I guess with portals on both sides, I would imagine would be the kind of root of the question there from Gregory.
Yeah, they would, if you had another Teams room that's not a portal, I presume is the question, that they would show up as a remote participant in the same way that I did in the demo earlier.
Okay. Corey asked about licensing fees. There is an annual licensing fee that gets charged on an annual basis for the software license on the portal device itself, and then there's but obviously the capital purchase is just the one-time charge. What about control with third-party control systems if required? I assume that's like with a Crestron or a QSC touchpad, some other interface that people are used to using. Have you integrated any of those third-party control devices into these workflows at this point?
No, and it's a very good question. Actually, if you look at the picture on the right, you see a QR code displayed on the screen there at the top. That's how the portal is how you access the control. So you simply scan that QR code, you get the controls on your device, and that allows you to control everything from setting up the connection, inviting participants, to sharing your screen, controlling the volume, etc. So we've, from the research that we've done and the focus groups, we felt we felt strongly about avoiding the need for additional hardware and things that can be, can get lost or need to be plugged in or what have you. So we wanted to make it as low touch as possible and as intuitive as possible. We talked about this a little bit already, but I do want to answer Kevin's question about the camera placement, and how better eye contact is achieved. The key is eye level, and first of all, and secondly, the fact that it's not obvious where the camera is. The fact that it's so inconspicuous makes you feel, at ease. You're not aware of it. There's also no selfie screen, importantly, by the way. So there's no self-monitoring during a portal meeting. It's literally as if you're looking through a window at another room. And when somebody looks, when I'm looking, for example, at the person's brown shoes on the right in the right-hand picture, they will know that I'm looking at their shoes simply because of the way my eyes are, pointing towards that side, because of the distance from the camera, as well as the placement of the camera. And that is really key, because all the other systems that are out there, like need boards and other tools like that, have cameras either on the top or the side. So you're never really looking at the person and at the camera at the same time, which is why they never really know where you're looking, and that creates that disconnect. That's what creates that, what ultimately leads to zoom fatigue. I hope that answers your question.
Yep, that's great. And then I think, let's take one more question, which is, I think this is a really good one from Gregory. The 3 portal setup, would you basically end up with 2 portal views on a single screen if we were connecting, 3 locations to each of the meeting rooms, or 2 external locations to the in-person meeting room?
Yeah, very good question. We actually have tested a number of different things. We're in the process of implementing a feature where you can where the screen essentially gets split. There's not a hard split, but it's a sort of we push the screen in digitally. So this is done in image processing. So it looks like a sort of concave, and you would have one portal on the left and the other portal on the right. And again, because of the camera placement, they would know when you're looking at either one or the other. So you can, with the existing hardware, without any upgrades or changes to the setup, purely in the software, we'll be able to allow for 3-way connections. Yeah.
All right, we're getting. I think we're hitting a lot of great questions here. Let's just make sure that we talked a little bit about Apple.
Yeah, one thing though about the distance, I just want to say that the 18 feet is the depth of the room itself, not the distance from the camera, right? Yep. So the distance, I don't know if that's what Roger meant. But you can be as close as 7 or 8 feet from the camera, but the sweet spot is between that and 13, 14, 15 feet from the camera. So you have all that room to maneuver in.
And most of these spaces that we've been in, I mean, we're talking about a 1.2, so the viewing distance is actually pretty close. Obviously, the usable viewing distance is pretty close, and really, most of these setups are not meeting, they're not meeting tables The portal rooms that I've been in are couches and furniture and some side tables for notes and computers and things like that. But it's not really set up to be a traditional kind of like boardroom table, hard spaces. It's really, intended to be a collaboration environment where you can get up and move and get your energy moving. So definitely having enough space is an important element.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. It's really designed mostly with a sort of collaboration lounge type approach in mind. Well, that said, you can totally put a table in the room, and in fact, we do it sometimes when we have a shared lunch between our San Francisco and New York offices. If you put a table on both sides, it looks like it's a continuous table, and it's pretty cool. You can have, you can share dinner, lunch, breakfast, a coffee.
Yeah.
And it's
share salad.
Fun experience.
Yeah, that's terrific. Well, it looks like, okay, how important is window light placement? So that's a good question from the environmental setup. That's a good one.
Yeah, great question, Roger. Thank you. It's well, thanks to the fantastic engineering and LED design that we're privileged to work with through Nanolumens. Lighting or windows is not really much of a concern. The screen is bright enough that unless you have bright sunlight hitting it directly, it's really very forgiving. Light placement also, we find that too much top light can sometimes, make people look a little bit gaunt, but that's the same in any other, video conferencing setup. But typically, a normal lighting that we find in any given room works fine. We haven't seen the need to adjust lighting setups in a room where we've installed a portal so far.
Okay. All right. Well, terrific. Well, I think we've hit a lot of questions there, Toon. So thank you so much for leaning in on a lot of these issues, and really thanks to the audience. I mean, we're almost at the top of the hour. We will be sending out some additional information after the webinar. We appreciate everyone joining us today to learn more about the portal and the partnership between Noro and Nanolumens. And we hope you found this session to be valuable and educational, and hopefully you see a place for a portal either in your company or one of your client companies. We'd love to help you build many portals out there in the field, and we think it's a terrific solution. And again, if you're interested in seeing one of these systems, locally, right? There are locations in Atlanta, Chicago, London, Brooklyn, and San Francisco, right? So there are some existing portals out there, and we are collaborating on some additional locations out in the U.S. and internationally in 2026. And please look us up for Infocom. Please keep in touch with us if you have any questions. Obviously, you can get in touch with us via the web. And we'll be sure to share our contact information as part of the follow-up information. So with that, I'll let you guys go, and thank you very much, and have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.